All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight, guys. We got a great show lined up for you. I'm Josh Carter.
And I'm James Bush.
Guys, we've got James Elam coming on tonight. Guys, I know it's been a while since we've had a elite pro on, so it's kind of a big deal tonight. Great getting kind of back into talking some of the elite pros, especially James Elam. He is a really top-notch guy. Every time we've had to talk with him at the classics, he's been really easy guy to talk to. He's really nice guy to talk with. So just really excited about it tonight. I know we just had a show last night, we had two surprise guests with Casey Reeds and Chad Hoover. I mean, what do you think about last night's show, James? I mean, I think it went really well. Totally unexpected. It was only supposed to be 30 minutes, and we go to almost 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think it went really, really well. We had a lot of good guests call in that were unexpected. So, I mean, what more can you ask for?
Yeah. So, what a hog. That's right. Yep. Mario, that's your fish sliding around through there. And guys that are just tuning in now, you'll start seeing some fish kind of come across the board here. These people have put in on our contest. And like I say, it right now it's starting early for all the listeners, but we're going to be making it official on Facebook October 1st, and it's going to end the 31st, and then November 1st we'll be picking a winner on just a little prize pack, little tackle pack. So make sure you get in on that, and all you got to do is send it in. You can either go on Facebook and send it to through our messenger, OneObjective, or on Instagram through Messenger as well, or DM or whatever people call it on there. Just send it through the messenger, and we'll get them up and start putting them on our show. And that's how it's going to be. The more we get, the more it's going to be sliding through. So, Mario, I'm sorry I didn't get your name up there. I realized that after I got it all up there, but I'll go back and make adjustments for that in the next show. I promise you. So, other than that, guys, I want to thank all our sponsors that's really helped out with our show. I know we talk about it every night, every time for our show, but it's big. They're a big part of it. There's a lot of videos that we've done. It's because of them, to be able to have product shoot video on. So, with Bonafide and Yak Attack and Falcon Rods, Missile Baits, Ray Marine, Accucoil, and Power Pole guys that, they've been a great help. So, we're looking at trying to get a few more to help out with some product giveaway. So if you know anybody that's be interested, or any of your friends that's got a tackle business and just kind of want to get involved with, just giving some tackle away, getting their name out there, whatever, tell them to hit us up on OneObjective on Facebook, Instagram, or they can go through email and do oneobjectivebf@gmail.com. And we would love to be able to see, see what they got, see if we can work with them to get some tackle given away. So, but other than that, we're going to be getting James. He should be calling in about 2 more minutes, another minute or so. So we'll just kind of hang tight a little bit, kind of shoot the bull until he gets on. Whoops, I hit the wrong button there. Hold on a second. There we go. Whew.
Oh, boy.
But if nobody knows who James Elam is, if you're just tuning in, you don't know who he is, you evidently totally don't pay attention to Bassmaster. I'm just kidding. He is a Bassmaster Elite Series pro. He just won at the AOY Championship event last weekend. And if y'all have looked, if you go on Bassmasters.com and look at the winning baits, the winning patterns, look at all of them. Look at the pictures. I mean, they got pictures of all their baits. Whether they're the right bait or the right color, I don't know. But look at the pattern. It's all top water. It's been hot. I mean, especially down there in Georgia and all that where the tournament was taking place. It's just hot, nasty weather. And yet them guys was out there catching them schooling fish. So I'm excited to kind of see what James has to say about how his patterns worked out. And because he was on them. I mean, he was dominating. And, and me and James was actually talking about this earlier was, it's awesome that he got a win. It's always tough, though, when you get to win down there for the fact that it's so focused on Angler of the Year. So you see a little bit about Jay Elam, but it's so much about Justin Lucas, as it should be. Not knocking it or nothing like that. It's just kind of a bittersweet feeling, I guess. But congratulations to both of them for Justin Lucas winning AOY. Like Chad Hoover said last night on the show, you'd much rather want to win AOY than you would a tournament. Granted, it's always fun to win a tournament, but if you can win tournaments and win an AOY, that's icing on the cake. So, but we all strive for that. That's kind of like the biggest goal is to try to shoot for and get that AOY and be consistent all year. So, anyways, we got James. He's calling in right now. Let's go ahead and get him. Hey, James, you got us, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
How you doing?
Not too bad, buddy. I appreciate you calling in tonight. I know you've probably been pretty busy with getting you win and media and all that, so I appreciate you working us in your schedule, buddy.
No problem at all. I'm actually at my girlfriend's barrel race right now. So,
oh, wow.
That's it's been a busy week, and but I'm happy to be here, man. I've got time to talk to you guys and just talk about some fishing.
That's right. So let's kind of go in and talk about leading up to the championship. I mean, did you know much about the body of water that you were going on and, going into this thing? Did you think it was going to be on like it was with the whole topwater bite, or is that something you kind of just stumbled across in practice?
Well, going into it, I never practiced the lake or anything like that, or never been there. But, going into it, I knew that it was a small lake, so I didn't feel like I had to go there and pre-practice and stuff because, with 3 days of practice, I would be able to cover the whole thing, and I'd probably be able to get a good feel of, what the lake was like and stuff like that. And also going in, I tried to do as much research as I could, looking at other tournaments, and what won those tournaments, and kind of looking at the population of, the fish there, and it looked like there was a really big presence of spotted bass there. And there was also some largemouth, but it tended to be kind of a shallow water deal. Now, when you got 50 of the best guys in the world all fishing shallow in a small lake, it gets beat up pretty fast. So I really, wanted to, going into it, I wanted to try to find out what those spots were doing, try to figure out some kind of pattern with them. And I feel like, anytime there's this, a spot population in the lake, that's a pretty consistent deal. And the numbers would be there. And it also looked like there were some good ones in there. So I felt pretty confident that would be a really good day to build a 3-day tournament out of and put something together on and be more consistent. So looking at it, going there for the first time blind, I was really pretty into that. And that's kind of what I was looking at from the outside.
Now, how much, when it comes to, having the fish that you have, was it more of a, I know with spots it's always a schooling thing. Did you have a lot of schools marked, or was it just a lot of spots, spots marked? I mean, kind of, how did you manage your fish and all that is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So, right when I got there, the first day of practice was pretty good. We just had that hurricane on the East Coast that came through, broke up nicely, and didn't end up giving us too much rain, but we had a little rain, a little clouds that first day of practice, so there was a lot of fish kind of out roaming and chasing and busting herring and stuff like that. And then that's another thing in itself is a herring lake. So anytime that's happening, that was something I was looking at. And a lot of times this time of year, fish are really keyed in on bait more than anything, out kind of roaming and stuff like that, and trying to eat those herring. So going into it, I kind of knew that, but the first day of practice, I could see a lot of different areas where the fish were really active, and I got a really good idea of kind of what they were using, where they were living, and I looked for, mostly, right off the bat, just obvious points and stuff like that, and found, every time I mark a brush pile, whether they'd be fishing it or not, I'd keep it in mind, and it just seemed really obvious that these fish, there were a lot of fish using points, and I also found some kind of little insignificant corners and stuff like that were sleeper deals that there were a lot of fish on it, and almost all these points had schools on them. But really the difference for me was finding the places where there were bigger ones, or the places where there were really active, aggressive ones all throughout the day. And I really tried to key in on that most of the day and spend most of my time in those areas.
Now, was that like a timing thing too? I mean, did you kind of know when they were coming up? You know, you hear a lot of people talk about that with schooling fish and topwaters is it's a timing thing. So did you kind of have an idea, like, hey, I need to be on this point this time, this point this time?
Yeah, that was everything. That was a huge deal. That was the main thing that I had going on is I ended up being able to time everything perfectly. And I started on kind of the corners and little pinch points and stuff like that, the shallower stuff. The stuff were not necessarily shallower, but steeper points that were kind of more insignificant and you know, less of the long tapering points and stuff like that, the less obvious stuff. I would start on those early, and it seemed like those were better early for whatever reason. Those fish weren't, you know, they just tended to stay in one little area, and you could throw at them and you could get a shot at them early. But also fishing early, it seemed like a subsurface lure was better, like a fluke or a jerkbait. And I couldn't get them to bite a topwater as well early in the morning. Sometimes a wake bait, but the better thing for me was keying in on those little areas early in the morning. And then mid-morning, about 8 or 9 o'clock, I had one really good spot that they started blowing up on. And, you know, there were just fish just really active and aggressive every day in that area. And I'd be there about 8 or 9, 10 o'clock every morning, and that's when I'd start picking up a topwater. And that's when it became very important to have that topwater in hand, you know, whether you see a busting fish or not, still throwing it, and you'd get one to come up every now and then. But when you start seeing them come up and chase, that's when you'd want to throw on them in those areas.
And that, you know, that's the kind of the thing when you get on a topwater bite through the day. How do you know enough's enough for a little while? You know, I need to put it up and try something else. I mean, or do you get on those points and throw, you know, because we got your picture up now with your baits that you used. Did you kind of rotate it through there, or did you just kind of like, all right, well, I'm kind of on a topwater bite now, so I'm just going to run these spots? I know you said, you know, certain ones were working in the morning and then as the day went on, but, you know, once you get to a certain point of the day, do you just stick with that topwater? Is it kind of like a jig, you know? You just keep it in your hand, you know you're going to get 5
right.
bites?
Well, luckily for me, it was really evident in practice. These fish would not bite a jig or a shaky head or a drop shot or anything you shook in front of them or stood off of them and cast it at them. They didn't want to bottom bait that bad at all. They really wanted to come up and chase a herring or wanted something that, you know, looked like a herring from, you know, from a long distance. They come up and eat it. They wanted something close to the surface. That's what they really, what really got the most attention. And I just luckily noticed that in practice. And also, you know, I'm a guy that wants to drag a jig or shaky head or something like that. I'm really thankful that it was so evident not to worry about doing that so much. So I just kept the topwater locked in my hand, and it actually got better as the day went on. The more light it got out and everything like that, they would commit from, you know, 20 yards away to come eat a topwater. So, and even the bigger ones would bite later and better in the day. So it worked out for me because of practice and everything, just seeing all that stuff and everything. That it was just, you know, after practice was over, I said, I'm throwing a fluke, a jerkbait, a spoon, and a topwater, and that's the way it's going to be. It's just super obvious after 3 days of practice. That's what they want.
Yeah. Now, when did the spoon? When did that come into play? I mean, are you chunking it out there? I seen you catch a couple on Bass Live. Are you chunking it out there and just kind of ripping it off the bottom, or are you not letting it hit the bottom? I mean, how are you working that?
Well, I did a little bit of both. I mostly tried to keep it higher in the water column because that's what they really wanted. It was hard to get a bite if you got it down too deep, but sometimes, you know, they bite it, you know, when it got, you know, halfway through the water column or lower. But a lot of times I'd pick that thing up when I could, you know, there weren't any fish busting. There wasn't any activity, but they were down there. And I'd throw it around a brush pile, you know, not right on top of it, but within 10 yards of it, and they'd come out and get it. Or, you know, through a school, I'd get one to run out and get it or whatever. And it was just a fill in the gaps type thing. And I would get them to bite that when they wouldn't bite a topwater. And it usually seemed to be best, you know, when it was sunny. I did catch a few in the morning doing that, but it seemed to be best in the middle of the day, kind of with the top water hand in hand.
Now I know when it comes to, because I don't know much about spoon fishing. I can tell you that now. If I threw it at Smith Mountain Lake,
I don't either, guys.
I mean, if I throw it at Smith, I'm probably going to lose it because there's so many brush piles out there. So,
That's right.
so when it comes to throwing a spoon, and I know we was talking about the sun and all that coming up, but a spinnerbait, it's always I always liked it when it was cloudy or windy. Is there a difference with the spoon? Is that, I mean, can you do? Does it work good on calm days as well, or is it is the conditions got to be right?
I think personally with the spoon, when when you got a school fish and you can't catch them and it's slick, calm, and sunny, usually that's when the spoon's at its best. Every time I've caught them on a spoon, it's pretty well. It's usually then when it's slick, calm, sunny, and they won't bite anything else, and they can see it real well. And there's just something about it when it's like that. It's a little bit of a reaction strike, and the way it flutters down and it makes that big shine. They love that. So it's a good thing. It's something they'll come over and get instead of something in front of them sometimes when you're casting it.
Yeah. Now, going into day 2, we was talking about a lot of lake. The lake was small and it's so many guys around. Did you have any issues with guys being on your spot and you having to kind of change your rotation a little bit, or was you fortunate enough not to really have nobody on you like that?
It wasn't too bad at all. I think that they had a tournament there the third day, that we had an off day on Saturday, and you never know what goes on, but I couldn't catch them off of any of the same stuff I caught them on the first 2 days on the third day. So I kind of had to change up stuff, and run the fire drill a little bit, and finally I tripped into them about 1:30 pretty well. And but that is one thing about a small lake, and those guys are good. They're going to find a lot of stuff. So normally, if it's really, really good, it's going to get found.
Yeah, and that's what that's what I was wondering too. If you see a lot. I was going through Bassmasters, and I was looking at the top baits, and a lot of people throwing top waters and all that. And that's what I was wondering with that lake being as small as it was. Everybody kind of on the same. At least the top guys kind of on that same pattern, which is always crazy to me. That's how it always seems like it works. It's like the top 10 guys are kind of in that same pattern. I know some guys talk and help each other,
right.
But it just always blows my mind how you guys, it always ends up like that. Every once in a while, a guy has something a little different.
Yeah, if we just had 1 day of practice or no practice, that probably wouldn't happen. But after guys get 3 days to go see what's going on, and it was so evident that it was so hard to catch them on bottom baits and stuff like that. It's just, and it's that time of year, and there's so many fish busting. It's kind of a little bit of an obvious deal to go do that. So I'm guessing that's why you would see that happen. But it is really rare that you wouldn't see any other tactics up in the top 5 or top 10. Yeah. It was mostly guys doing that across the board.
Yeah. Now, you getting your off day, I mean, did you actually have time to relax, or was you just so focused on, like, man, I wonder what's going on? Did you try to go in and see what the weigh-ins were, to see what the local tournaments
No,
doing?
I didn't. I had just heard that there was a tournament, but I just I guess I already mentally just kind of blocked the off day out and just all the negatives about it, and just tried to rest and get as much stuff ready as I could. Worked with some sponsors, did some videos and stuff like that. And I welcome the rest, that's for sure. And that made it to where I pushed harder on the second day too. So, fished my butt off and didn't skip lunch and everything. So I tried to use it to my advantage, as much as I could.
Yeah. Now, going into the last day, you said you had to make some changes and all that, but was you able to get a limit quick and then start trying to capitalize on catching some bigger fish, or was it a grind or what?
No, fairly quick. I mean, not within the first hour, but within the first 2 hours, I think I had 4. And by that time, you're not going to win off those 4. but you're sure the heck not going to win off of 5 little ones.
Yeah.
But you might catch 3 big ones, and you're going to need 2 little ones to go with it. So I felt comfortable, and I felt like early I did what I needed to do, but it was pretty obvious to me that something was up, or the fish were, we had a full moon the night before, and I got to thinking before the tournament or before the day, I was like, man, I wonder if that's going to affect them and make them bite, really good in the middle of the day, and not so much in the morning. And that seems like that's what went on. And I even tried some of my really good stuff that I'd been fishing in the morning that I hadn't fished in the afternoon. I went back to it that third day in the afternoon, and they didn't seem to be there or be active anyways. So I'm really thankful that some other stuff came through. But that's kind of what, transpired there.
Now, what was there a defining point on day 4 that you kind of knew, man, I got this? Like I think I've got this one. I mean, was there a spot at any time of the day or a certain fish that you caught that, like say, you just knew that you just wrapped it up?
Yeah, there was, and that's the moment that we all live for. And it happened at 1:30, and I pulled on a point, and I probably made 6 casts on it with a spook or with a walking bait, pencil popper, and I don't get bit, don't get bit. And I told my cameraman, 1 more cast, dude, before we go. And I throw out there, and I get one to hit it, and he comes up. I'm like, shoot, man, I missed him, and a couple more twitches, and it's walking, and one eats it, and it's a 3-pounder, and comes up, tries to jump, and it's a big one, and I get it to the boat, and it's barely hooked, and I scoop it, it's not hooked good enough to boat flip, and I get it in. I'm like, yeah, that's a good one, and so I put it in the live well, coal, and I get back out there, and I make 2 or 3 more casts, and another one, eats it, and it's a big one, and it's another 3, and I boat flip it, and I get it in. I got a big smile on my face, I guarantee you, because I know that I'm probably going to throw out there, and there's probably going to be another one. And after that second one, it was one of those things that it got rolling, and I was like, man, they're starting to eat, and I throw out there a couple more casts later and catch another 3. And then I knew, it's going to be really hard to compete with that. And I kept going, hit some other points, and I caught 1 more 3. So I called 4 times from 1:30 to 3 o'clock late in the day. And it was just a really cool moment, that's not how you want it to go down, but that's how you dream about it going down.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, you're shaking, your adrenaline's going,
That's right. That's what we live for. Yeah. That's what we live for.
You're ready to go in. Every time it seems like when I got a big limit, I'm like, man, I'm ready to go weigh these dudes in, and it seems like the day takes forever, But, like for that, though, it took you a while to get to call those out. So, but, yeah, you got that adrenaline pumping, you're ready to go in.
Yep. Yeah, and a multi-day tournament like that, it's just rare that it's ever going to happen for you. Just like you said, every day like that, there's always going to be a day that it's going to be more like the day it was on my 3rd day, to where it doesn't come easy, but it makes it better when it happens.
Yeah. So kind of tell us a little bit too, because I know everybody's really, congratulations to Justin Lucas and all that, but what's it like sharing that day? Most of the time through the year, when you win a tournament, it's all about that guy. When you're having to share it, I know it's still a great feeling, and it's great seeing Justin Lucas win, but kind of describe that.
Well, going into that, it's the AOY. We're all trying to make the classic, so that's the most important thing. And it's one of those things, man. I understand, and it's about Justin more than it is me. I'll promise you that, and I know that, and I'm good buddies with Justin. And but at the same time, there's a blue trophy on the line, and I wanted to do that, and I haven't been able to do that in 6 years. So that's what I was focused on. I didn't have a shot at the AOY, I had a shot at making the classic and shot at winning that tournament. So I if it gets overshadowed a little bit, I'm okay with that. But me personally, that was a big goal of mine. So that's something I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So.
And I was just kind of looking at the AOY points and all that, and it's nice seeing. Don't get me wrong, we all like seeing the big guys, KVD and Greg Hackney and all these guys up there. But it was really awesome to watch it this year unfold with Bradley Roy and I just had it all pulled up a second ago. But Josh Bertrand,
Lucas,
and
Chapman. Those were the 4 players at one point in the season. 3/4, 80% of the way through the season, we had Brent Chapman, Justin Lucas, Josh Bertrand, and Bradley Roy leading. Yeah.
It's just nice.
They were all really close.
It's just nice seeing it change up a little bit, because all of them are really good guys and all well deserved. And but like I said, it was nice seeing Justin Lucas get it, and it definitely well deserved. His consistency was mind blowing through the year. So, but
such a good fisherman. A good fisherman.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. That's who we're going to try to get on maybe next week and get him on and kind of talk about his year and all that. So, but
I hope you have him.
Oh yeah, I think we might be able to work something out and get him on there. But we normally do an in-depth segment with our pros and just kind of going over.
Let's do it.
Yeah, James is going to kind of cover it a little bit and let him take off with that, and then after that we'll kind of get in just a very small conversation about all the hype that's going around in bass and FLW. But James, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll go ahead and get into the in-depth segment.
Yeah, I want to do one on offshore fishing because I know offshore fishing is a key thing, and you've done a lot of offshore fishing to win this tournament, and with your electronics and everything like that. Go over some of the stuff that's people who are just learning how to use their electronics. What's some of the stuff that they should be looking for when they go out to do, if they were just going to break the water down with their electronics?
Well, most importantly, it's really important that you have the best mapping that you can have. No matter what kind of graphs you have, I use Lowrance's. I'll have an avionics chip, and Lowrance is actually coming out with a lot of new good maps that they've mapped themselves on a lot of lakes, and that's coming in the future. But that's a big key, and just understanding the topography and everything, and what to kind of look for, offshore. Certainly points are going to be good, and little breaks and creek channels and stuff like that. Just kind of recognizing those things. And the second important part is, having all your equipment set up right. And it might not hurt to get somebody in the boat that is pretty dialed in with that stuff. And, just the simple things, just turn your key beeps off, turn their brightness down 1 notch, make sure you can see a drop shot go down on your trolling motor. Just all the little simple things. It's just like any other sport. It's all about the basics. So when you get out there, you're really comfortable with everything and all the setups and everything. For me, getting on the water for the first time in my new boat, I want to go drive around and I want to look at, I want to drive by the ramp and I want to see it on my side scan. And then I want to drive over a spot that I know and look at it. I know what's already there. I know there's 6 brush piles on it or whatever. And I know there's a log on it. And I drive over that stuff that I'm familiar with already. And I look at it and see what it actually looks like on that graph. So when you go to someplace new, you understand what something new looks like that way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Those are some of the things that I do. And and here's the other thing. You're not always going to be able to see fish on your graph that you can just, you just drive over a mega school. There they are. You cast out there and catch 40 pounds. It's not always going to happen like that. Where I'm from in Oklahoma, you don't see a lot of bass on the graph on downscan or sonar or anything like that. You might see 1 or 2. And but you're looking for the things they might hang around. Ledges, big rock piles, stuff like that, brush piles. And you look for that stuff, and then you got to fish it. So just knowing that too helps. In Georgia at Chautauqua, you could see the fish there. You could see schools of fish. You got to understand sometimes herring will run away from the boat, so you can't always graph herring. There's just a lot of things to know too. If you see a bait ball, while you're fishing, and they're balled up in defense mode, that means they're probably getting eaten or chased by predators. That's a really good sign. So those areas and stuff like that's going to tell you a lot, when you see something like that.
How do you know, like, how far to cast out when you see, like, that school of bait and stuff like that? Is it just comes from just casting out there, finding stuff on your graph, so then you just kind of get a reference, so you just kind of learning your electronics to know where to cast at?
Yeah, a lot of times it's just a reference, like you said. It's a good go by. A lot of times you'll see, bait that's it's just out in the kind of in the middle of a gut, but you know what? There's a point next to it, and then that point's got a brush pile, and that's probably those fish live there, and that's their home base. But they might jump out from there, and they might go chase bait all in that drain or gut or whatever, and that's just something to keep in mind. Just a reference. That area's got good bait, so somewhere around here there's going to be some bass. There's going to be some spots.
Yeah. When you're after you've got offshore and you're fishing, what are some of your main baits that you use for search baits to find to catch maybe some of these fish that you found offshore? Would you use the same baits as you use over the?
Yeah, it just depends on what lake you're on. Going into Chautauqua, I had a lot of stuff like vertical fishing stuff, like a spoon, ice jig, a drop shot, stuff like that, ready to catch them. Seeing them on the graph, and they wouldn't bite those things. But those are things that normally work. Now, it just depends on what lake you're on, but there's a plethora of different things. I'd say the mainstays are like a football jig, a Carolina rig, a deep diving crankbait, stuff like that, a spoon. It just depends on what fishery you're on and what's pretty popular there. And, usually that stuff, is pretty public and you get to see that stuff. We were at Lake Martin this year fishing for spots, and that was a total vertical fishing deal, drop shot and a spoon or an ice jig or a Nico rig was really good there. So it's kind of a little bit of a different deal.
It's just, it always comes down, we always bring this up, just confidence in fishing, being able to do the offshore fishing. I think the tour, keeps a lot of people from fishing offshore. It's just one of them things, I guess people just need to go out there and just do it to build their confidence, to be able to sit there and fish wide open water.
That's right. If you want to learn, I will tell you this, and I've done this a long time. And if you want to learn, you got to go out at the beginning of the day, not afraid to not get a bite. You got to be able to not have to have that instant gratification of going and catching one. You got to go out willing to leave and put the boat on the trailer at the end of the day and say you didn't get a bite all day. You're going to probably get a bite. But what I'm saying is, in order to get out of your comfort zone and to do new things, you're going to have to sacrifice. And sometimes you're not going to get on them. Sometimes you're not going to catch them. So that's the way I look at it. And that's how I've learned to do different techniques and stuff like that. Not just deep, but shallow too.
Yeah, I know. I've done it multiple times because I made myself learn to fish a jig, and all I did was put the jig box in the boat, and I went fishing, and that's the only thing I had. And
yep.
And now I love a jig.
That's right. That's right. And when it comes time, when it's really good, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep. Josh, did you have any questions that you wanted to
No,
add
man,
about offshore fishing?
No, I think you covered it. I don't have nothing. I don't have nothing for him on that. But let's kind of cover, because we don't really have much questions coming in tonight. So let's kind of cover a little bit on, James, if you want to go into the MLF and all that right now.
We just wanted to know, what do you think about the Bass Pro Tour?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the industry right now. Me personally, I haven't made a decision on what I'm about to do. It's going to be a good thing in the end for all the anglers and the industry. I think in the long run, there's things have been kind of the same for a long time, and I just don't want the fans to think that with everybody changing here and there and whatnot, that it's an ill thing. It's something that's it's a positive thing, and there's reason for it. And I think that in the long run, it's going to be good for the industry, and it's an exciting time because there hasn't been a lot of new change in the last 20 years. I would say that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's...
Yeah, I think this is much needed, and I think it's gonna grow the sport. I mean, it looks like, from what everybody's reading, the amount of exposure that they're going to give the anglers, I think, is going to grow the sport across the board. It's going to blow everything else out of the water. It seems like, of what you hear out there in the internet.
That's right. And the important thing is, MLF, what their main thing is, they're trying to reach fans that don't normally know much about fishing and get them involved. And the whole format of that is, it's exciting for them to watch. And, they're flipping channels and they see this and they get, captivated by, guys catching them. And it's constant action, and it's just really good for TV. So the plan is to draw in the people that don't know much about bass fishing and tap into that whole market.
Yeah, and I mean, they brought tons of sponsors that had nothing to do with fishing into the MLF series, and that's just doing nothing but growing the sport.
That's
it's
right.
Not just every fishing company that needs to be a sponsor of fishing anymore. It can be anything across the board because it's so popular.
That's right. Yeah.
So I mean,
that's yeah.
Well, I was going to ask. Okay, so Bass is going down to an 80 field. Correct me if I'm wrong, but going down to 80 field anglers, and so many anglers are shooting over so far that some really big names that are kind of pulling out and going over to the Pro Bass Tour. I mean, this is probably the best time if you ever want to fish the Opens to do it. I mean, in my opinion, because it's going to be so many spots it's going to open up, right?
Yeah, they're certainly going to need more guys to fill in. It's just really hard to say yet until we get a field established, in the Elite Series, and see how many guys are in there. And there's going to be new guys come in from the Opens to fish this year to fill it for next year. So they'll have plenty, but it's a really good time that when I got in 7 years ago, it was really, really, really hard for me as a rookie, for sure. And now, maybe it won't be quite as bad as it was then.
Yeah. With the lack of anglers, because I mean, now you're down to 80.
Yeah.
You're not competing against 100 and 105, or I can't remember what the exact number is anymore, but it's just going to be weird at the Classic. 19 is going to be the same, but then when you get to 2020 and we go to the Classic and try to cover some stuff for our page, it's just going to be weird if you ain't got those guys there anymore. You know who you got to interview. You better get the interview with this guy because they do. So now it's going to be like, oh crap.
Right.
So
there's no telling really, and the payout is going to be so much better in bass next year from what they've promised and everything. It's compared to when I was a rookie, I would have loved for the whole field to get paid because I was broke and just trying to make it. So luckily for me, I got a check in like 2 out of the first 3 tournaments. So that kept me going. If that didn't happen, who knows where I'd be right now.
Yeah. There's so many guys
Absolutely.
every year that have to pull out mid-season because they just don't have the money. And it sucks, man, because you risk everything. Everything to do that.
You do.
But, James, do you have any more questions?
To me,
Go ahead, sorry.
No, to me, it's a dream to be able to get into this. And I hate to see the guys that get in there have to struggle or, so, I mean, you've had to struggle to get to that point anyway. And then the struggle once you get there and then not be able to make it. I don't want to see guys do that. I want to see them.
The angler could have had the talent to actually make it, just had a couple bad breaks. And, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because, it's, it kind of messes with your head. I mean, you're in there, you're fishing against all these big guys. And until you kind of get your confidence where it needs to be, you could struggle a little bit. That doesn't mean that you're not a player in the game. I think those guys need that time to be able to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to keep James too much longer, buddy. But James, do you have any more questions for James?
Not that I can think of right now. I just appreciate him coming on and talking to us. And
welcome, guys. You're welcome.
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it.
It was really nice seeing you at the Classic twice. And because you were competitive in both, both the Classics we were at. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it was a good time, man, and I'm looking forward to next year's 2019 Classic.
Awesome.
So we'll be there too.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be down there.
I hear you. So will we.
We're looking forward to it. So, James, congratulations to you again, buddy. And like I say, I hope you take this momentum into next year, wherever your endeavors take you. And I hope you have a great off season, get some relaxing time, and just go out and do some fun fishing.
All right, thanks, guys. That means a lot, and thank you very much for having me. And we'll be on soon again.
All right, buddy.
All right.
Thank you, man.
All right, see you guys.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, that's a good interview, and he's such a down to earth kind of guy. I mean, he's just like I say, everybody heard it just now. He's just a really nice guy. Bayfire Wrestler James, you and Buddy Braden Phillips say hello. Sorry, buddy, we didn't I didn't see that until after we got him off the show there. But no, man, you covered some good points there, James, on when it comes to deep water fishing, and trying to figure out how to do that. And I always love our in-depth segment because I'm either taking notes or I'm thinking about things, like, dang, maybe I should try that next time. So I hope that helps everybody else out there when we do those in-depth segments. And if you have anything that you want us to ask the pros, or cover more, a typical question that we don't normally ask or that you would like to know more about, message us on Facebook or Instagram, or send us an email at oneobjectivebf@gmail.com. That way we can add that into our questions, So, but I think, James, you did a really good job covering that, and kind of learned a lot on the basics of just getting out there and learning deep water fishing. Do I still have you, James?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, sorry. You just I kind of lost you there for a second.
Yeah.
But
no, I was just listening.
He was what? Just listening? He's listening to me?
I was just listening to you. Like normal.
Yeah, just listen to me. Mike Hogg. But
oh boy.
Yeah, I'm such a Mike Hogg. But Anyways, guys, we're going to keep this show short tonight. I say that. We're at 45 minutes. James, what did I say? We're going to do 30 minutes tonight. And we're already over that. So, did you have
I told you we'd probably keep it under an hour.
Yeah. We're gonna be under an hour. Get on there and get talking fishing. It's hard to get us off. So, James, you doing any fishing this weekend? I know we talked a little bit about it. I didn't know if you still gonna have time to do it or not.
I am planning on going this weekend. I know I didn't get time to go last weekend, but I definitely want to go this weekend. I need to get back on the water. I've got the English Choice tournament next week, so I want to get out there and put a line and, play around a little bit anyway.
Yeah, I got the one night stand coming up this weekend, so I want to try to make a push for the win on this one to hope more people sign up. So if I don't make the top, at least maybe they'll give away a couple positions. But I really enjoy those one night stands since they've kind of made them regional. So I feel you're not competing against guys in Texas and Florida. The first one I did was kind of intimidating because I come in and I'm like, all right, I got a couple inches here. I know it ain't gonna win, but maybe I won't be too far behind. And all of a sudden, a guy comes in with like, I don't know what he had, close to 50 inches or something like that, 2 fish. I'm like, what the freak, man? And you look, and they're from Texas or Florida, and you're like, well, good gosh. So I'm kind of glad they split that up. Makes it more fun when you go into it. Now, granted, you're competing against guys up north too that's got big smallmouth waters and all that. But looking forward to this weekend. I know we got Casey. Well, you won't be able to make that because you're going to be fishing English Choice. But we got Casey's Classic. I really want to fish that. I like fishing Lake Anna, but depending on how it goes with the weekend series, the one night stand, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. If I make it through the one night stand, I might not make that one, just for the fact that my son's football games. I don't like missing my son's football games for fishing. I missed too many of them when I worked at Belvac, a whole season actually because of work. So I don't like to miss too many of them, but. Anyways, that's all we got going on tonight, guys. I don't want to keep you guys much longer. We don't really have much more to talk about. We talked about everything last night. We got more pros coming in to the MLF. We'll kind of go over that real quick, see if anybody else has put anything up. Other than that, let's see who we got here. Keith Poche. I kind of figured he was going to be going because he does really good on MLF. And then Cody Meyer, Brent Chapman, Justin Atkins. These are all guys that did this today. Scott Suggs. And then the big one, Ott Defoe, which me and you both, James, kind of figured that was going to happen. Roy Hawk.
Yep.
And then John Murray. I didn't see that one really coming either.
Did you know who else just announced?
No.
Did you say Jacob Wheeler?
No, I didn't. Did Jacob Wheeler just announce it?
Yep.
Wow. Really, because we don't go to a lot of elite events because they're always somewhere else. Oh, man, you going to be in Vegas? What? This weekend? Okay. Are you going to be in Vegas? So are you going to be at the Classic, Mario, on the 2 weeks? But it's going to be weird going to the 2020 Classic and not let's say Kevin Van Dam goes. You got Skeet Reese, which I normally don't get interviews with him, but you got Jacob Wheeler. If these guys go, granted, it's going to give opportunity to a lot of other guys that's probably just as good maybe coming in. But they're not going to have the opportunity to compete against them, some of these big names, That's the bad part about it. But other than that, I'm glad to see it's working out for these guys, and I'm excited to see where this is going to go in the next 3 years, definitely, and then so on. So I'm waiting for KVD's response. That's what I'm waiting on.
I think there's 24 or 25 Elite Series pros that have already said it. now.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I didn't recognize this one when I done. Mark Davis, was he in there yesterday?
I don't remember seeing him on it. Was he on there too? Mark Davis went?
Mark Davis went, and of course, Gary Klein went.
Gary Klein went too?
He's on there too. Yeah, he's on here too.
Wow. Oh, Gary Klein.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of oh shoot. What's the other older fellow on there? Not Gary Klein, but oh man, what is his name? He's big. I'm having a brain fart right now, but
Biffle?
No. The other one, he likes cranking. And I can't think of his daggone name right now. Guys, it's killing me. Anyways.
Well, you talking about Kevin Short.
Rick Clunn. Rick Clunn is the one I'm thinking. Yeah, Rick Clunn. I know he's fished some of them on there, so I'm curious if he would do anything like that. And, I'd like to see if Denny Brower comes out of retirement. I wonder if he'll do anything like that to fish it for 3 years and just say he did it and then just retire.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I would like to see. I'd like to see Denny Brower back on the tour.
Yeah.
On a tour level. I don't. I think he still got it.
Well, when we did jig fishing, that's who we watched. We watched him and
that and Tommy
Biffle. We watched videos with them, learning how to flip a jig and throw a jig and jig setups and flipping Texas rigs, stuff like that. So I like to see all them come
I think
in.
the day on the lakes were the awesome.
Yeah.
When they had those on TV.
I remember when you had that. You had that one recorded with Tommy Biffle. Remember he was flipping like 5-pounders in the boat?
I know, and I think I watched it 3 times a week for the first 8 months I had it.
Yeah. So, but now, guys, we're going to cut you guys loose. I know it's that time. It's that time of the night, and it's Wednesday. 2 more days, and we're going to be hopefully all of y'all be on the water. So, anyways, guys, please share this video. Please catch us on iTunes. If you didn't catch the whole video, you can catch us on iTunes tomorrow. We got all our shows that we're doing live are also going to be on iTunes. Please submit your fish pictures for the contest. We'll be picking it November 1st. Just going to be a little tackle pack of a few odd and end things, the lures and all that. So, and also, please go check out all our sponsors. You can catch all their links in the bottom of this video. And if you don't mind, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. Be greatly appreciated. Guys, we love all you. We love you all. Big hug right here. We love you all. And thank you all for watching and all that subscribed and follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. Guys, y'all have a good night. James, you got anything else to add before I cut us off?
No, just thank everybody for listening and good night.
All right, buddy. See ya.
See you.